call me Marcy, please, Katie.
So Marcy, tell me a little bit about your new book, Poor Richard's Almanac for Kids.
Well, my co-author, Melissa Zhou, and I...
Where is Miss Zhou today?
She's actually out promoting our book to elementary schools around the country. I think she's in Virginia today. So Melissa and I decided to write this book in order to bring the complete Benjamin Franklin to a younger generation. The younger generation knows the basic facts about Franklin, but they don't know the true Franklin, the highly intelligent, witty, and even sometimes bawdy Franklin. Melissa and I have been friends since an early age, and we always shared a deep fascination with Franklin. I mean, it's even a joke among our families that we would grow up and write a book about Franklin. Now we finally made that dream a reality.
Well, that's certainly a very interesting inspiration for this book. Why were you guys so fascinated with Franklin at such an early age?
Well, we knew the basics about Franklin since, first grade, and we were just amazed at the number of different types of people that were embodied within Franklin. He was an inventor, a businessman, a politician, and a diplomat, and he excelled at each and every one of these professions. By the time the Constitution was written, Franklin was rather old and tired, and unfortunately could not intensely participate in the heated discussion revolving around the formation of the Constitution. But he was still greatly involved in the forming of America, the independent nation. In addition, Franklin was a people person. He appealed to the common people, but was also respected by the wealthy. For example, during the American Revolution, he traveled to France to persuade the French to help the American cause. While there, he dressed in clothes that were more suited for a commoner than for a respectable politician. It was a gamble, but it paid off, as the French loved his honesty and daring.
Why did you focus on Franklin's Poor Richard's Almanac when bringing Franklin to the younger generation? As you noted, Franklin had a myriad of contributions to America.
Well, Melissa and I thought that Poor Richard's Almanac was the perfect example of Franklin's connection with the common people of America, as evidenced by the fact that each almanac, and just like any other almanac, the book came out yearly, each almanac sold over 10,000 copies. Franklin certainly did participate in a number of amazing activities, but while writing and publishing, Franklin could remove himself from the politician Franklin that everyone thought they already knew. As Richard Saunders, the Poor Richard of Poor Richard's Almanac, Franklin became just like any other American, though perhaps a little more intelligent. Also, pieces of advice that were the basic of Poor Richard's Almanac are completely applicable today. And really, if you think about it, that's a magnificent feat that Franklin could write something in the 1700s that affects people now, 250 years later. For example, Franklin started the first fire department, the first police force, and the first public library. And kids are the perfect age to absorb Franklin's wise words. Adults are somewhat stuck in their ways, whether they be correct or not, but children are still open to listening and perhaps even taking advice. And Benjamin Franklin certainly has plenty of advice.
Would you like to share some of the pages from the book with us?
Sure. So this is our book, and Melissa did the drawing. Obviously, I'm no artist, and I focused on picking the proverbs and describing some of the more complicated ones. Here's a picture of Benjamin Franklin, the star of the show. So some of my more favorite ones. This is one of my favorites. Little strokes fell great oaks. And as you can see, Melissa drew a wonderful drawing of Franklin here is trying to put together a puzzle of some sort, and then puts it together, and it's a puzzle of a great oak. And on some of the more complicated proverbs like this one, I wrote a little, so what does this really mean? And I explained that this saying sort of applies to the achievement of difficult tasks, like finishing a huge project or learning how to play the violin. And even though at first it might seem like a very difficult thing to do, working in little steps can make the process much simpler and even perhaps fun. And another one of my more favorite ones is this one. And Franklin wrote, "Democracy is two wolves and a lamb voting on what to have for lunch. Liberty is a well-armed lamb contesting the vote." And Melissa drew here how, two wolves would vote for a lamb, whereas the one lamb would vote for grass, and that's democracy. But democracy is really nothing without liberty. And you need liberty in order to make sure that democracy is checked and make sure that democracy isn't put into a bad place. Yeah, that's our book.
Well, that's our Meet the Author segment of the Week America. We'll see you next week when we talked with Chris Drake, author of Closing the Gap, giving an A to every high school student across America. Bye-bye, America.